Sup? Been a fucking minute, huh? I haven't made a serious video in a long time. And, you know, all that I've put out in the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 months has been highly irreverent, dark, perverted, violent, offensive comedy. But a good friend of mine, now a coworker, who was actually drawn to Vet TV by my serious videos, his name is Jonathan. He told me that I need to do a serious one again because it helped pull him out of a depression and put his life on the path that he knew it should have been on. So, taking his advice. What I have never done through the camera is communicate exactly who I am and why I do what I do. So that's what I'm going to communicate to you today. And we're going to title this The Chosen Life. By the end of this, you're going to understand why that title is so fitting. So in order to understand who I am, you need to know the two things that I ask myself every night before I go to sleep. Some nights I forget because I am too under the influence of sedatives to really know much of anything. But on the nights that I am not, I ask myself two questions. One of them, did I make a positive impact on someone else's life today? The second question is, did I waste my time or talent today? So let's get into why I feel this need to be a positive influence on someone every day. Why do I need to impact someone positively? Well, it's pretty simple. It's because I know firsthand how good it feels when somebody else takes the time to either make me better or make me feel better. Unbeknownst to most of you, I used to be the shyest, most insecure kid you've ever fucking met. Even when I look back on myself, it's like I'm looking at a different person. But nevertheless, my experience as a very shy and insecure young man made me who I am today. And it was during that time that I embraced those who made me feel good and who made me better. Even if it didn't feel good at the time, I liked those who made me better. When I get to do that for someone else, it fills me with happiness. I feel good, which ultimately means it's really not about them or you, it's about me. But I'm perfectly okay with that, so I'm gonna fucking roll with it. Another piece to it is that when I impact others in a positive way, it reminds me, or it lets me know that I'm using my powers for good. It's a power. The ability to make someone else feel good is, the word ability is interchangeable with power, the power to make someone else feel good. That is a power that I have, that every one of us has. If I'm not using it, I'm wasting it. And I cannot do that. So the next question that I ask myself every night before sleep is, why am I afraid of wasting time or talent? Well, I don't know if you guys knew this, but time is the only thing we can't get more of. We can waste everything else. And if we put our minds to it, we can get back some of what we wasted, but we cannot get back time. We only have a small opportunity, a small window to make a legacy for ourselves and to make an impact on this world. And I choose to take advantage of that small window that I have. Some people, the window is a couple years. Some it's 20. Others, they get the full 100. I have been living my life since I was 16 as if my window was going to be very, very small. I mean, think for a second about how easy it is to die. How many people die in car accidents every day in America? There was like 40,000 in 2015. 40,000 people died in a car accident. Every time I get on the road to go drive to the store to buy some fucking milk and bread. That's a lie, I don't buy bread. That's because I'm fucking gay. But that's fucking wild. the fragileness of our mortality is severely underestimated. A huge part of my motivation in life comes from thinking about my own death. I have visualized it. And oddly, it's not dying that worries me. It's the way I die. The scariest thought that has run through my head a million times since before I joined the Marine Corps and still pervades some of my thoughts today is the thought of me with a sucking chest wound. So I'm bleeding out through my lungs. I'm feeling my lungs filling up with blood. And I'm choking on my own blood. And I know I'm gonna fucking die. It's coming. There's no doubt in my mind. Now my fear is that in that moment, I feel scared. Because I don't want to feel scared when I know I'm going to die. I want to feel at peace. But not only do I want to feel that way, I want others to see that as well. I don't want others to see me scared. I don't want them to see the fear in my face as I go, because they will remember that image forever. And the story of the way I died will last in eternity. So I can't have that. I can't go out like a fucking bitch. That's eternity. Fuck that. I'm going out with a joke and a smile. There's no other way. As I visualize my death, and as I'm choking on my own blood, and I look around at all the faces that look worried, I see myself look at them and tell them that they're being fucking pussies. And then making a joke and making them all laugh. And then die. That's how I'm going out. At least that's how I envisioned I would go out in combat. The way I die is going to be burned in those men's minds for eternity. So I better be fucking sick. But you don't die at peace. You don't die that way if you've got a whole bunch of regret on your mind and your soul. So in order to die in that moment peacefully, with a joke and a smile, to die the way I want, the way I choose, my conscience and my soul must be clean. And in order for my conscience and soul to be clean, I have to live the way I wanted to live. I have to make the most of my life. I can't, as I'm dying, wish I had done something. Can't do it. I've met so many people who talked about how they thought about, they always wanted to join the Marines, or they always wanted to be a SEAL, or join the Navy and travel the world, or be on a sub, whatever. You know, all these things they always wanted to do. They thought it'd be so cool. They never did it. And I think to myself, when they're on their deathbed, are they going to look back on their life and regret their decisions and regret their lack of action? Are they going to regret the things they didn't do? And then it's like, wow, that's the saddest thing in the world. To be on your deathbed, wishing you had done more and knowing that there's nothing else you can do about it. That is the saddest, scariest thing in the world to me. And that's a big part of what drives me. That keeps the pistons in my engine pumping, not just normally, but at fucking 5,500 RPMs all day, every fucking day. That's why when I finally fall asleep, I'll sleep through a fucking tornado. I'm gonna carry on. So, why do I do comedy? As a professional, I am a comedian. I would say I'm a writer and I'm a comedian. I would say that I am both of those before I'd say that I'm an entrepreneur. But why? Why am I choosing comedy as the focus of so much of my life's time and effort and energy? Because making someone laugh makes me feel good. That's simple. When I do something in one of the disciplines, and the disciplines of the arts that I consider to be mine as my profession are writing, directing, and performing. Doesn't matter if I write a story and you read it and laugh your ass off. I feel good. If I always write what I direct, but if I write and then direct something that I'm not acting in, I create something beautiful and hilarious, and you watch it, and I watch you laugh, I feel amazing. And then if I'm the performer, whether I'm doing stand-up or whether I'm acting, if my performance makes you laugh, I feel good. So again, it's not really about you, it's about me. Sorry. But why does it make me feel good? There's got to be something deeper. Well, there are several reasons why that makes me feel good. One of them is because comedy is a challenge. Comedy is a game of risk. Every time I set out to make someone laugh, I am inserting my personality into somebody else's head. So it's like I need to walk into their head. Just imagine that their brain is like a house. I walk into their house and I look around and I get to know them as a person. I see their pictures on the walls and I look at the things that they've done in their life and what things do they purchase and what do they wear and so on. And I get to know this person. And then I think, okay, based on what I know, I'm going to make them laugh with this. It's a huge mental challenge, and I love that challenge. Now, once I make someone laugh, immediately there is a connection between us. If I make you laugh, I am connected to you in some way, and that's powerful. There are many ways to connect to people, but the way that I connect not just the best, but the most, and the way that I have the most fun connecting is through comedy. That human connection, that's something that I long for. I need that. When I see you laugh, I feel loved. This is an odd thought, but it's the truth. And there is no void of love in my life because I come from an incredible family. But that connection and that laughter brings me, I'm certain what it all breaks down to is our desire to be loved, and making you laugh makes me feel loved. So, I keep doing it. Making someone laugh, especially in a deep and meaningful way, about something serious, about some sort of pain, the way Chappelle did, who's one of my comedic idols and inspirations. When I can make someone laugh in that way, there's instant and immediate, deep, soulful connection between us. That's powerful. I long for that connection. I live for that. And knowing that I've made you laugh and made that connection, that makes me feel appreciated, valuable, and loved. I know that I mean something to you if I am making you laugh. If I know that you look forward to my creations, that makes me feel appreciated, valued, and loved. But it also makes me feel accomplished. And that's important. Because, like I said before, comedy is a game of risk. And when I take the risk to make a joke, just because that is my style of humor, I am accepting the fact that I might swing and miss, I might fail, I might not make you laugh. So when I do, I accomplished something. I accepted a mental challenge, stepped up to the plate, swung, and got a hit. That's a good feeling. Making you laugh makes me feel challenged, connected, loved, and like I succeeded. I succeeded in my challenge to make you laugh. It's a good feeling. Okay, so now that you know why I do what I do, I'm going to tell you who I am, where I come from. So, I was accidentally conceived in Queens, New York, by Irish and Colombian immigrant parents. Actually, Dad's not immigrant. His grandparents were immigrants from Ireland, but my mother is an immigrant. From Colombia. You might have seen stuff with my grandma, because that's who I live with. If grandma's from Colombia, so is mom. And by the way, if you're ever looking to improve your debate on immigration in America, go ask a legal immigrant, somebody who had to fucking save up a lifetime in their little shithole country, maybe sell off one of their kids, and then finally fucking wait in line and pay the fees to America that they needed to pay, and then kept waiting in line, and then took all the fucking tests, and then started paying taxes. Go ask them what they think of illegal immigrants. Yeah. I don't need to preach that to you because I'm pretty sure my target audience, you all, is pretty red. But anyways, food for thought. So Donnie O'Malley is my nickname. My nickname given to me by one of my best friends who actually now works with me and is now one of your favorite comedians, Greg Kelly, and is creating our next show. We were on a cruise, a Carnival cruise. I got like 34 of my friends on this cruise. And it was a 1920s gangster-themed party. And he called me Donnie O'Malley, and I called him Jimmy Domini. And then I changed my Facebook name for the Marines, then started a blog, published, nonprofit, videos, you name it. And now everyone knows me as Donnie O'Malley. But I'm born Daniel Peter Maher, M-A-H-E-R, like Bill Maher. But that name's not right for entertainment, so I'm sticking with Donnie O'Malley. But just in case there's confusion, you see some people on social media saying, hey, Danny, Danny, Danny. That's because my name's Danny. Or one of my names is Danny. And D-Mar. D-Mar was my college nickname. So, what else? My mother. Let's talk about her. It's a very, very important, special human being here, okay? My mother, 5'0", little Hispanic firecracker, who has always worked in the inner city as a teacher and librarian. She could have worked at some of the nicer school districts throughout her 35 years teaching, but she has chosen to work in the inner city because she knows that her power to influence those in the schools, her power to influence young Americans, is greater in the inner city because she comes from the inner city. She knows that life and that struggle. And so as a result, she's put herself in really fucking shitty schools with gang violence and terrible crime and parents and students and cousins of students who will come in and threaten her and other teachers and yell and just really shitty things that you guys might have only seen in movies like fucking, what was it, Gangster's Paradise? No, not Gangster's Paradise, whatever the Michelle Pfeiffer, all those movies about the inner city. My mother has lived that for 35 fucking years. And she has had the opportunity to leave it for better, less stressful, more enjoyable life with more money. But she chooses to stay in the inner city because she knows she's doing more good for those students than she would be doing outside of that. That's where I come from. That is my immediate influence as a human being. And then there is my father, Marine grunt, who then became a Navy doctor for 25 years and is still a practicing doctor. That's where I come from. My greatest influence as a human being has been my two parents, who instilled in my brother and I a need to help others, to be a good influence on our world, and a thirst for knowledge. That's why we are the way we are. And that is why I am successful, undoubtedly. It is because of my parents. Because not only were they the perfect role models, but they have always loved and supported us unconditionally. Well, they didn't always support my decisions because my decisions were frequently stupid. But we'll get into that at another time. So now my family, where a lot of my personality comes from. So my serious side comes from my father. My joking side comes from my mother. My social side comes from my mother. She loves bringing people together, making them feel loved and included, and ensuring that everybody has a good time. And that's what I do. My father is the more serious leader with a stronger sense of ethics and morals than I have ever met in my life. I have never, ever once heard my father lie or do something unethical or immoral. Never once. How many people can say that? I don't think many people can say that. Not fucking once. Have I ever been disappointed in my dad's behavior? I've only been disappointed in what my dad thinks of my behavior. Okay. So now let's talk about my family. Okay, so my family on the Irish side is fucking huge. My great-grandparents had 10 kids. Each of them had at least 2. Most of them had more than 3. And we're the stereotypical New York, blue-collar, Irish, Catholic, alcoholic family. My family is incredibly, incredibly good people. And I still think about like how many family members there are and how they are unanimously good people. And unanimously, all of them, their only desire in life was to have a good family. You know, their career and anything else that they wanted for themselves always came second to being a good parent. That's nuts. So amidst this huge family, huge, very loving, caring family, is incredibly dark, irreverent humor. You know, family funerals. All the uncles and cousins are placing bets on who's the next to die. Not because they don't like their family members. Our love for each other is incredible, but because that's how they're coping with the pain. That's how we all coped with it. That's where I get everything that I've started as a comedian and as an advocate for the veteran community has come from my family's influence. I'm just continuing the family tradition, and I'm making the veteran community my family. So that's where I come from. Now I'm going to tell you where I'm going. Okay, so part of understanding who I am means understanding what I'm going to do with my life. I've got my life plan nailed down pretty specifically, and it's because I began the planning process with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind is a term that I learned from the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Incredible book. Highly recommend that you read it. While it might sound abstract, when I break it down, it's going to be like, duh, that makes perfect fucking sense. When you are setting an athletic goal for yourself, like weightlifting, most people, not all, but most people, or I should say those who achieve the best results, usually set a goal of, I'm going to lift 300 pounds in fucking whatever this lift is. But what's the other goal? I'm going to weigh 200 pounds with 10% body fat. Or I'm going to lose 15 pounds of fat. Or gain 10 pounds of muscle, whatever. There is a specific goal, and you work your fucking ass off to achieve that goal. Maybe the goal is to make $3,000 a month, because that's what you need to pay all your bills and feed your family. Maybe the goal is to make $1 million by this age. Maybe the goal is to create a company that sells this many products. Or maybe the goal is to create a company that then sells out for $5 million in 5 years. There's always a goal. So when it comes to the way that you choose to live your life, how could you continue living when you haven't set the goal? It makes no sense. So, years ago, I set the fucking goal. Began with the end in mind. What's the end? Your fucking death. Well, actually, there's your death, but then after that, there's the funeral. There's eternity. That's last. But there's the funeral. That's where I'm going to start. What does my funeral look like? Who do I want to be there? What do I want people to say? What do I want the atmosphere to be at my funeral? I thought about all this. Let's get into it. My funeral is going to be a giant fucking party. All the fucking best medium shelf liquors imaginable. Fucking all the gayest music that I've listened to my whole life, like Madonna and Lady Gaga and shit. All that. Everyone's going to be raging, and everyone's going to be telling hilarious stories. And then we're going to have a photo booth. And at the photo booth, we're going to have my dead fucking carcass. We're going to have me propped up with rigor mortis, and we'll put me in like a funny position. And, you know, people can like walk up and fucking break my arm or whatever to get underneath. And I can, you know, be dead, and hopefully my face is better than this. I'll like plaster a smile on it, whatever. And, or, you know, maybe they'll like fucking bend my body over and come up and hump me from behind, you know, like humping my dead body at my funeral. That's what I want. That's what I want my buddies to fucking do. So yeah, so my carcass will be at the photo booth, not in the casket, because that's fucking lame. Then we're going to have a side room where there's going to be like a mannequin of my body. I don't know if it's going to be wax or I'll have a lot of money by the time of my death, so it'll be done really well. And then a cast of my hard penis. And anyone who wants to fuck me can. They go ahead and walk in there. We'll have someone who sanitizes it and everything, probably with bleach. Don't want to fucking pass around anything. Fucking they can, you know, go ride me and throw me around and fucking, you know, maybe if there are any chicks that like I never got them off, you know, they can come finish themselves off, and that'll be good. I like knowing that I could you know, provide that for them on my way out the door. I guess I'm already out the door, so after my death. So yeah, so people can go fuck the shit out of me, someone will clean it up, and then fucking come back out and fucking rage and shit because they just busted a nut, so they're in a good mood. And then story time, you know. So there's the eulogy. I don't know who I want to give the eulogy, but the eulogy, you know, I thought about what I want them to say. What do I want the eulogy to reflect about me? I want them to say that he gave a fuck. He genuinely cared about people. The people in his life, the people that he connected with, he cared. And not only did he care, but his actions proved it, because he influenced thousands, millions of people in a positive way. That's what I once said. That I influenced millions of people in a positive way. Maybe I inspired them to get off their fucking ass, or inspired them to chase their dreams, or maybe I challenged them to become more disciplined, or maybe I just taught them something that they were able to take another step towards their goals. Any of those things sounds amazing. And so if I know that that's what I want the eulogy to say, then my actions for my entire fucking life need to reflect that. I don't want people to say that I'm a fucking asshole. So therefore, in the instances when I am being a fucking asshole, I'm not living my life the way that I should. So that's why I need to be put in check. I also want not just one eulogy, but I want many people to have the opportunity to share a story about the way that I influenced them in a positive way. And through all of these stories, and we'll have to have someone in charge of fucking moderating the stories or whatever, through these stories, I want people to be filled with inspiration that they too have the power to be a positive influence on others. And I want them to believe that if they don't use that power, they're wasting it. And that if they are wasting their power, they cannot die happy. I want them to believe that. That belief will come from my funeral. So now what's before the funeral? My deathbed. Who do I want at my deathbed? I just want my family and my close friends. Hopefully by that point I've got a fucking ton of family. You know, I'm just not a fan of pulling out, so you know, whoever the fuck I marry, she's gonna be put through the fucking ringer when I start pumping out kids. I want my family and my closest friends to be around my bed telling stories and laughing with me. And so my last few days, fucking weeks, whatever the fuck it is on earth, will be filled with stories and laughter from all of those I love and care about. What's before that? Well, let's take the last 20 years of my life. I think, let's say I'm gonna die at 80. And I can't imagine that I live much longer than 80 after the damage I've done to my liver. So we're just gonna say 80. From the time that I'm 60 to the time that I'm 80, what the fuck am I gonna do? During that time, I'm going to fly around the world with my family to remote villages, usually in the third world, who could use my help. I'm going to live with the people. I'm going to find out what they need to improve their community. And then I'm going to either have with me or get on the phone with one of my employees, and I'm going to say, hey, here I am in fucking whatever village, in whatever fucking shithole. Here is how the conversation or here's how my last 2 weeks went living with the people and how my conversation with the village leaders went, and here are the things that they need. Here's 100 grand. You have 6 months to make it happen. And bam, that person goes and improves that village. But here's the kicker. We're not just going to go fucking give money, give aid, give shit. No. That is actually ruining the world. This whole business of giving without something in return. It sounds so great. Just give. But it's actually really fucking bad. There are stipulations. If they want to receive our help, they will agree to our terms. And our terms are going to be simply that they are required to have their students in their schools recite in the beginning of the day and the end of the day a mantra, kind of like a 10 Commandments that we write. And those 10 Commandments are really just about respecting the environment, respecting each other, improving their community, safe sex practices, which is really fucking funny that I'm preaching that, but it's what's needed in the third world, because they just fuck like rabbits and keep spitting kids out and they can't feed them, so they die. And there's Africa. So stop having kids is one of the fucking principles. And then having a sense of pride in their environment, in their own educational system, and in their community, in their country. And then emphasizing the importance of education. That's going to be in their 10 Commandments that they must recite, because the future of the world hinges on the children who are going to lead the world in the future. And if I can do that in every little village, then I could potentially create a movement from the ground up, instead of trying to impose from top down, movement from ground up, spreading these values that the world wants. I'll probably end up working pretty in depth with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Oprah Winfrey's Foundation, because they're doing good things, unconventional things. But in any case, that's the last 20 years of my life. But those are like my worldly goals. My film goals: to write, produce, and direct 3 of the greatest war movies ever made for warriors about post 9/11 warfare. And then my goals as a writer: to write 1 book every 5 years that sells at least 1 million copies. Okay, now next, from when I'm 50 years old to 60 years old, now I'm focusing on America. I want to improve the U.S. educational system by opening up schools that offer alternative methods of education. That's going to involve getting on board with the Gates Foundation and Oprah's Foundation, and just working with what they're doing, because they've done great things for the school system. Or if I don't like everything that they're doing, starting my own. And the intent is just to improve the education of Americans, because America sets the tone for the world. We lead the fucking world. And contrary to popular thought, statistically, our educational system sucks, because a quarter of our students drop out. That's not good. And that doesn't even count if you actually go to the inner city and look at how many kids actually are illiterate and they are graduating just because the parents are bitching. It's disgusting. We're not even going to get into that shit. So anyways, in my 50s, I'm going to improve the U.S. educational system. My film goal: I'm going to direct the post 9/11 Full Metal Jacket. My writing goal: 2 books that sell 1 million copies each. Now, between 40 and 50 years old, I'm going to start my family. I'm going to climb the highest mountain on all 7 continents. Got 1 down. My film goals: I'm going to write, produce, and direct 1 film every 2 years. And I'm going to do at least 2 stand-up tours that sell out the 30 biggest cities in the country. And those tours will be recorded and licensed to Netflix or HBO or whoever as a stand-up special. I've already got 1 stand-up special. It's just not, the crowd wasn't as big as it's going to be. Oh, and that stand-up special is only on VetTV, so go fucking get your subscription. Or if you don't have a subscription, get the fuck out of here. No, I'm just kidding, but really. I got kids to feed. Just kidding, I have employees to pay. All right, so between 33 and 40, I'm going to grow VetTV into a $100 million business through the licensing of our shows and movies to bigger platforms: Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, fucking whoever, YouTube Red. We're also going to be bringing some of our TV shows, like A Grunt's Life, are also going to be repackaged into movies, and we're going to bring them to the big screen. We're going to do all this while employing hundreds of people, mostly veterans, and creating a business that has a sense of family and community similar to what we had in the military. My business will be a family. It already is, but it's going to be much bigger. We are going to have a sense of community and culture that is that makes everyone want to work for us. That's what we will create. And I'm actually learning a lot from Walt Disney. Stand by. Okay, next thing we're going to have the Vet TV Ranch. We're going to have at least 10 acres in between the 56 and the 78 freeways. On these 10 acres are going to be studio sets for our productions of film and television. We're going to have a music production studio. We're going to have houses for my friends and family, all on, we're going to have a lot of trees there, so everyone can have their own sense of privacy, but the houses will be on different parts of the ranch. And then, we're going to have a huge workout facility. I'm going to have my good friend John Beck living in a tree house, who's in charge of everything exercise related. We're going to have outdoor playgrounds, pond, garden, and amphitheater for live shows. And here's the most important part. We're going to have a boot camp style squad bay that is going to house veterans who need a new beginning. And I'm taking this concept directly from the Alpha Project, one of the most successful drug rehabilitation programs in the country, started here in San Diego. In this, it is basically going to be a rehabilitation, although you don't need an addiction to be there. You just need to be willing to comply with our terms. And our terms are going to be that you're going to work like a fucking dog, no less than 12 hours a day. By the way, this whole 8-hour workday thing, fucking pussy shit. If you're setting your goals right and big enough and staying disciplined, you shouldn't be working less than 12 hours a fucking day. I don't understand this 8-hour shit. It makes no sense. So they will, in their squad bay, take care of themselves. They're going to be fed 3 times a day. They will have a good place to live. They will have a good, hard-working life. And from that environment, we're going to have classes and all kinds of counselors and shit, people who are there to help these veterans restart their life. And it's all going to start with a home, fucking food, and a job that challenges them and gives them a sense of purpose. That's where it all starts. We're going to have that. So that'll be filled with between 30 and 60 fucking people in there. And they will manage themselves. And it's not going to be like boot camp yelling and shit, no, but it's going to be somewhat structured, and there will be rules to follow. But the good thing is that if you go through our programs and you succeed, then you end up getting a fucking great paying job with the company. That will be one of my greatest achievements. Mark my words. Okay, also in between 33 to 40, at least one stand-up tour selling out the 30 biggest cities in the country. Turned into a stand-up special, licensed to HBO and Netflix. And that's 33 to 40. How am I going to accomplish this? By setting a fucking goal and back planning. And then having the discipline to stick to my fucking plan. That's how I'm going to do this. When I have the urge to go run to the beach, which I can see from the Vet TV house. I can see the fucking beach. And guess what? You know what my favorite thing in the world to do is? It's to slam a bottle of fucking Fireball, smoke a fucking joint, and ride my bike on the beach. And then stop and go play volleyball, and then stop, go jump in the ocean, and then stop, go talk to some girls. Stop, go take a bunch of shots in a fucking bar. And then get back on my bike and keep riding. That's my favorite thing in the fucking world. And it's right here. I can see it all day, every day, and I don't do it. Why? Because I have the discipline to stick to my fucking plan. That's why. I see how much time people spend on social media, and it's mind-boggling. It makes me lose compassion You know, it used to be television that people spent all their fucking time with. Now it's just social media, just like... And I understand that social media fulfills a void of love. It makes you feel less lonely. Because when you put something out there and somebody responds, you feel loved. That's what it comes down to. Some of you are going to be like, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. The like button makes you feel loved. When you get 1 like, you don't feel that loved. When you get 100 likes, you feel loved. We need that, so that's okay. However, you need to have the fucking, the awareness to step outside that and realize that there's more you could be doing with your time if you choose to. Which comes back to the title of this speech, this video, presentation, whatever the fuck we want to call it. The chosen life. What I just outlined for you is my life's path. My goal and the path. This path was not chosen for me. There was no mystical being that was like, you must do this. No, 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 no. This is me thinking about what I want out of life. Thinking about my life and my legacy and saying, this is my path. This is what I choose. That is remarkably powerful because every one of you has the power to choose what the fuck you do with your life. That is your choice. You can choose to spend 6 hours of your day doing something that doesn't get you to any of your goals. Or you could choose to use every minute of the day, every second of your day, to bring you to your goals. Now, if that means that like giving an hour or two of decompression time for yourself to allow you to have a good day the next day, then that's fine. That's still getting you to your goals. You have to stay sane. I have recently learned to do that for myself every night. I need to decompress and not think about all the stresses and work and goals and everything because there's too much. It's not healthy. Engines can only rev at fucking 5,500 RPMs for so long before they break. But nevertheless, your path is your choice. And it is your duty to make a good choice. It is your duty to choose that which will make you the most happy and be the best influence on others. That is my chosen life. Now I hope that you choose a life for yourself that you can be proud of. And that can create a legacy that, if you believe in the afterlife, that you can be proud of for eternity. So, I gotta go hang out with my family now. Deuces. Oh, and if you like my shit and you haven't subscribed to Vet TV yet, you have no idea what I've made. Literally no fucking clue. All the shit that you see on social media, that's garbage compared to the good quality fucking film and television that we have on the paid network. The only way we can keep making more is if you subscribe, so come on. It's $5 a month. If you do all the shit that I'm saying, set the goals and blah, 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 you can afford it $5 a month. So, come on.